Okay, welcome to the Intro to Extension training. This is going to go similar to the training we just had on Challenge, guys. So for those of you who weren't on that one, I'm going to run through the whole lesson and then we'll go back and talk about the techniques afterwards. But before we get into that, um, first, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. Um,
Yep.
just a reminder of the three C's for SIPs. Make sure you're clear, consistent, concise, and you're using choral responses during your lesson planning. These four C's are very important during your instruction, and it makes sure that everything runs the way it's supposed to be run. Daily components of extension, some very similar to beginning. You're gonna run into new routines in the polysyllabic words that we're going to start using in extension. But for the most part, it's the same. You're going to get a decodable section, you're going to get phonics section, phonological awareness, sight words, guided spelling, and reading a story. Things you will need. You'll need your SIPS manual. You'll need your spelling, sound, and sight words list and instruction items. Either a dry erase board and markers or writing materials, depending if you're using the writing materials for the kids. For the guided spelling, you'll need your storybooks, which are those purple books, or the printouts if you don't have books. You'll need printed, written or displayed lesson content. So that's your sight words, your mixed lists, your sentences, all of that stuff. You'll need to have that prepared prior to starting your lesson, or be prepared to write it out during the lesson, which will significantly increase the amount of time you have for these lessons. It should only take about 30 minutes, but if you don't have all the things you need, it's definitely going to take a lot longer. All right. For the rest of this training, we will be using the collaborative classroom page on the learning portal. FYI, there is a section in here where you can find pretty much everything I'm going through today, and then some. This is where I've based my training off of. It's all of their stuff. So the stuff that I'm showing you is exactly what's going to be in their curriculum information. So you can find this if you go to the main page, go under professional learning, teacher learning, and that's how you get to the page I was just at. This top bubble says SIPs, and that'll take you here. You can find all things SIPs here. But again, we're using the learning portal for this. It's a lot easier when you're doing digital stuff. But here you'll be able to find your resources. We're going to use fourth edition. If you have third edition, that's absolutely fine. There are resources you can print to add to your binder to include the updates for fourth edition. But it's okay if you're using third edition. Just make sure you're using third edition across the board per level. So if you're using beginning, only use third edition or fourth edition in beginning. If you're using extension, only use third or fourth. Don't switch between the two when you're teaching. Um, we are going to do lesson 18, which you can find in the printed materials. And when I say printed materials, this is what I mean. If you go into the portal, it prints out everything you need for the lesson as far as your sentences, your guided spelling sheets, even your story. You can print these out directly from the learning portal. Also in here are your videos for routines. So if you're ever unsure how to do a routine, that can be found in here. You can also get your stories, your sight word dictionary that I mentioned earlier. You need that for your lesson. Guided spelling pages, your sound, spelling sound wall cards, either in color or not in color. Reading log is also available in here because at some point they stopped doing the stories and switched to independent reading to prepare them for challenge. So that is in here, a reading log. Some of the lessons have different sayings similar to the generalizations that you get from challenge. Those are in here as well. Consonant LE syllables, the how many consonant rules. And then what else is in here that you might need? I think that's it for the lesson. So all that extra stuff you can get from the lesson can be found in here, and printed and laminated, or each kid can get one in a binder. If you don't have cards, you can find the cards in here as well. But that's just in case you need any of that stuff. I think there's also projectable versions of this. We'll be using the card deck app for our lesson as well. That's where you can run your lesson through a tablet or a smart board, but you will still need your manual regardless. Always use your manual. We'll be getting our manual from here. This is where in the top corner of the page, you can find the manual here. So if for some reason you don't have a physical binder manual, you can pull it up on your computer, you can pull it up on your phone, you can pull it up on a tablet and use it there. Another good place to check is your scope and sequence. That's in the appendix. This will have all of your lesson information in it. So before you start your lesson or before you plan or while you're planning for the day or planning for the week, you can go in and find out what lesson you guys are on and then what materials they'll be learning. This is also a good spot to pull your review list for both your sight words and your phonics, just in case you don't remember which sight words and which phonics sounds were in the lessons previous, because you're supposed to review like 10 to 20 of them. You can go into the scope and sequence and find that. We're in lesson 18. So for this particular lesson, we'll be working with these sounds and these sight words, but you can pull all the way back from like here, maybe even further for the sounds for review. So get a couple of these for review and then pull all the way back from here for the sounds. Again, about 10, 15, maybe even 20, depending on how fast your kids go through them for review. And then also for the review list, you can pull out stuff and put it back. You can take out things that they've mastered already. But that's something we'll set up for our learning section. I'm going to close out all these extra ones because all these tabs get confusing. We'll use this later, but I think I'm going to use the one that's inside the printable information. Yep, we'll use this one. Okay, great. There's our manual. We don't need that. All right, I'm going to double screen this for you guys so you could see all the stuff. Oops. And we want this one. This one is for challenge. Just take that out. Let's bring up our learning portal, pull up our card deck app, which will be under apps. This is what we're going to use to project. If for some reason you don't want to use the card deck app, by the way, there's also presentation tools. So you can pull the wall cards up this way, or you can do the sounds and the sight words do it. You can get both of those in that for both 4th edition and 3rd edition. If for some reason you don't have the cards, you can use it that way too. But let's go ahead and get into the lesson. Like I said, we're on lesson 18 if you're following along. Let me adjust this so we can see. Sorry, this thing's sometimes a little wonky when you're using 2 screens. All right. Can everybody see everything? Is it big enough? Come off of mute if you have a question. Good. It's good? All right. Come off of mute if you have a question or anything, because I won't be able to see the chat while I'm looking at the screen. Let me know if you need anything. All right. So let's go ahead and start. I'm gonna treat this just like I'm giving a lesson. I might stop and give you a couple tips, but for the most part, I'm going to be running straight through everything. And I believe we already started the. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing. The joys of having multiple screens. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to treat you guys like my students. So it'd be great if at least one of you could come off of mute and act like the student for me. Um, Otherwise, you'll hear me talk to myself. But if you don't feel like coming off of mute, it's okay. Just remember that you will not be responding with the students. So if I'm doing all the responding, just know that I'm responding for the students as well. You're not supposed to do that during the lesson. So, for example, if you tell them to sound, do not sound it with them. Let them do it. All right. We're going to go into 4. Change this to, this is the card deck app, by the way. We're going to change this to 18. This is the lesson we're going to do. Before I get in, I'm going to go ahead and choose my review items. I usually do the lessons prior to. The ones right before that always automatically get in through the card deck app, but I like to add the ones before that as well. And then I'll add a couple of other ones just for the sake of time. I'll do about 5 of, well, let's do 7. We'll do 7 of them. Make sure you shuffle if you're using the card deck app so they're not in order. And you also want to do that in real time too. If you're using the cards or writing them out, make sure you shuffle the order. And we'll do the same thing for sight words. Great thing about this is that it keeps track of which ones they're getting right and which ones they're getting wrong. And you can also pull out the ones that they've mastered. So you won't have to worry about those. But I'm going to add about 7 of those in, shuffle those as well. Those will be part of our list for review. Again, that should be about 10, actually 10 to 20, I think, for the sight words, but no more than 20 in a lesson when you're doing review. Just like in our manual, our components in the card deck app will be the same. There will be some things like the story you have to pull up, but for the most part, the whole lesson goes through here. But let's start off with the beginning. I usually start off by giving kids the expectation of what the lesson's going to be about. So you guys as my students, okay, guys, we're going to do our SIPs today. We are on lesson 18. So we'll be going through all of the sections in that. Just remember, when we're working together, wait for the teacher, listen, and respond together. And again, remember to wait for my cue. That way we're all reading together. All right. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to have you say a word. I'm going to have you drop the initial sound. Excuse me, I'm going to have you drop the last sound, and then I'm going to ask you what's left. So we're going to drop a sound, and I'm going to ask you what's left. All right. Say jumper.
Jumper.
Drop the What's left?
Jump.
Say bigger.
Bigger.
Drop the What's left?
Big.
Say faster.
Faster.
Drop the What's left?
Fast.
Say better.
Better.
Drop the
Back.
The word was better.
Oh, better.
Better.
Sorry.
Yes. Sorry. Say better.
Better.
Drop the
Bet.
Say batter.
Batter.
Drop the
Bat.
Say catcher.
Catcher.
Drop the
Catch.
Good. All right. Next part, we're going to learn 3 new sounds today. Okay, listen to my sentence. Her bird was hurt. Our first word is her. First sound is er. Next word, bird. Next sound, er. Next word is hurt. Next sound is er. So as you notice, this is 3 spellings for the sound er. So let's go over that again. Our first word is her. This sound is er. Sound? Again. Let's look at our mnemonic. Her bird. Our next sound comes from the word bird. Sound is er. Sound? Again. Again, this is our her bird. Her bird. Bird card. All right, sentence. Her bird was hurt. Word is hurt. Our sound is er. Sound? Again. Good. Again, this is from our her bird picture. All right, so let's review some sounds that we had from our previous lessons. See how many you guys can remember. All right, first one.
E.
Ready? Oh, wait for me. Ready? Sound.
E.
Again.
E.
Good. Sound. Again. Good. Sound. Good. Sound. Again. Sound. Again. Sound.
E.
All right, so let's go here. This sound is I, as in kites. Sound.
I.
Again.
I.
Again.
I.
Okay, great. So remember, this E at the end means the final E. It makes this vowel say its name. So this will always be a long I. Sound.
I.
Again.
I.
Perfect. All right. This one has 2 sounds, remember? First sound. Second sound. Z. S and Z. Good. First sound. Again. Second sound.
Z.
Again.
Z.
Good. All right. Sound.
E.
Again.
E.
Sound.
O.
Again.
O.
Perfect. So remember that E at the end makes it say its name. Perfect. All right. Sound. Again. Nice. Last one.
I.
Again.
I.
Awesome. Good thing about using the app is it keeps track of the ones that they got wrong and right. So you'll be able to go back in and add those to your tracking sheet. Okay, great. The next part we're going to do is we're going to read a mixed list. Whoa, that got big. Hold on. Hold on, friends. Oh, let me take this off. That's what's causing the problem. Go back. Okay, sorry. Go back in here. We are at read a mixed list, which is here. The routine for that is point, pause, and read. You point and pause, give them time to think about the word in their head, sound it out. I normally tell the kids that too before we start that section. And then you go do that part. So let's do that one. Such codable words. Okay, friends. So I'm going to point, pause, give you a chance to read it in your head. And then when I swipe, you guys are going to read. We have 2 challenging ones at the end. We'll see if you guys can get those 2. All right. Let me get my 1 second. Let me pull the highlighter so you guys can see. Okay. Ready? Read.
Bid.
Read.
Please.
Read.
Dirt.
Good.
Seat. Turn.
Good.
Cheer. Girl. Set. Jerk. Grilled. Freeze. Hurt. Sir. Tuning. Heard. Planes.
Say that one again for me.
Planes.
Good.
Serve. Leash. Fur. Peep. Curve. Shirts.
Perfect. All right, we're finished with our mixed list. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to read some polysyllabic words. That means those are words with more than 1 syllable, right? Okay, so for this one, I'm going to add a syllable break here. Speaking. How many vowel sounds are in this syllable?
3.
You said 3
Vowel sound.
vowel
Oh.
sounds in this syllable. What the one sound that's being made?
E.
1.
E, right, 1. Good. That's our 1 sound. And the last syllable, how many vowel sounds are in this one?
E, just I.
The ing for I, yes. So 1, yep. So how many vowel sounds are in the whole word?
2.
2, perfect. So how many syllables are in the whole word?
2.
2, correct. So the way we're going to do this, I'm going to have you first read, first syllable. Read. Next one.
Ing.
Whole word.
Speaking.
Nice. All right, we're going to do the same thing for this one. We got our break is here. How many vowel sounds are in this first syllable?
1.
1. How many vowel sounds are in the second?
1.
1. How many vowel sounds are in the entire word?
2.
How many syllables?
2.
All right, first syllable.
Feed.
Second.
Ing.
Real word.
Feeding.
Perfect. This word is zigzag. Drop this here. How many vowel sounds are in this first syllable?
1.
Second.
1.
First syllable.
Egg.
Second.
Ag.
How many vowel sounds are in the whole word?
2.
How many syllables are in the whole word?
2.
Perfect. All right, this one's a little bigger. Let's try this one. We got one here, one here. How many vowel sounds are in this one? First syllable.
1.
And the second syllable?
1.
Last syllable?
1.
All right, how many vowel sounds are in the whole word?
3.
How many syllables?
3.
Perfect. First one?
Unlocking.
Unlocking. Perfect. All right, next one. How many vowel sounds are in this first word? First of all, the word is camping. How many vowel sounds are in the first word?
1.
1.
One. Second?
1.
All right. How many vowel sounds are in the whole word?
2.
How many syllables?
2.
First one?
Camping.
Second one? Whole word.
Camping.
Nice. That's polysyllabic words. That's how you go through that part. The next thing is the sight words. This one's very similar to the sounds. You get a sentence, you walk them through it. Difference is you read, spell, read, spell, read instead of sounding. You never sound out a sight word. All right. Instructions for that are already provided for you. We're going to go in. All right, guys, we've got 3 new sight words. Listen to my sentence, and then I'm going to have you read, spell, read, spell, read. When I say read, that means tell me the word on the page. When I say spell, that means tell me the letters that I'm pointing to. All right, let's get into it. All right, my first sentence. Who can answer the question? Our first word is answer. Read,
Answer.
spell.
ANSWER.
Read,
Answer.
spell.
ANSWER.
Read.
Answer.
Nice. Next word. Nothing was in the basket. Our new word is nothing. Read,
Nothing.
spell.
NOTHING.
Read,
Nothing.
spell.
NOTHING.
Read.
Nothing.
Next one, I'll let you do it once. Our new word is once. Read,
Once.
spell.
ONCE.
Read,
Once.
spell.
ONCE.
Read.
Once.
Nice. All right, so now let's review some of the ones that we did before. Normally it's 15 to 20, but we're gonna do about 7 just for the sake of time. Okay? Read.
Answer.
Spell.
ANSWER.
Read.
Answer.
Read.
Once.
Spell.
ONCE.
Read.
Once.
Read.
Gone.
Spell.
GONE.
Read.
Gone.
And at some point get a couple of them wrong just so I can show a correction. You don't have to do it on the next one, but just do a couple of them wrong so I can do a correction for you guys.
Okay.
Read.
Nothing.
Spell.
NOTHING.
Read.
Nothing.
Good. Read.
Push.
Spell.
PUSH.
Read.
Push.
Read.
Word.
Spell.
WIRD.
This word is word. We spell it WORD. Read.
Word.
Spell.
WORD.
Read.
Word.
Read.
Sure.
Spell.
SURE.
Read.
Sure.
Go back to this one. All right. Read.
Because.
Spell.
BECAUSE.
Read.
Because.
Spell.
BECAUSE.
Read.
Because.
Read.
Few.
Spell.
FOW.
This word is few. We spell it F-E-W. Read,
Few.
spell.
F-E-W.
Read,
Few.
spell.
F-E-W.
Read,
Few.
read,
Love.
spell.
L-O-V-E.
Read,
Love.
read,
Word.
spell.
W-O-R-D.
Read,
Word.
read,
Few.
spell.
F-E-W.
Spell.
F-E.
Excuse me, read. Sorry.
Few. Few.
You. Thank you. All right. So you see how I added it back into the queue? If they mess it up, you always add it back to the queue so they can practice it again. And then anytime they get a sight word wrong, you never say, oh, you know the word, or tell them to sound it out or anything like that. Immediately tell them exactly what the word is.
Okay.
Even for spelling, you can do the same thing. Immediately retell them the word, respell it for them. The first thing to do is correct and then model. And like I said before, this keeps track of which ones were wrong so we can go back and repeat it.
Mhm.
All right, next part of the lesson. I should have set a timer so you guys can get an idea of how long these take, but next time. Next part is sentence dictation. So for this, we're gonna need our sheets. I'm not gonna use the card app for this part. That way you guys can see the forms and how the students are supposed to respond to them for each of those sections. So let me pop that over here. It's this one. Make this smaller. All right, so again, for sentence dictation, one, they either need to have a dry erase board, these printed sheets of paper, or you can just give them regular paper because they'll need to write down this in some capacity. You don't have to save it if you don't want to. I usually do, especially for the younger groups, only because some of them still have issues with handwriting. And I've seen that all the way up actually I've seen it up to 5th grade, depending on their developmental level. But you can get handwriting issues pretty late in the game, especially with our kids because they're already behind. So just keep that in mind. Keeping the paper is never a bad thing. You can always send it home at the end of the month, or with the progress reports. But let's get into the guided spelling section. Let me zoom in a bit for that so you guys can see. If you were in the beginning training, I mentioned this. I also mentioned it in the challenge training. There's always a section of support. Never skip that. Sometimes it's before, sometimes it's right next to the word, but never skip that. This is another reason why you need your manual when you teach, because you need to be able to provide that support to the students, and we don't need you guessing about it. There's a specific way we want it taught. There's a specific way the curriculum wants it taught. This way the students learn it the way they should. There are 3 sections usually for guided spelling. You'll get the decodable words section. That's all the words you can sound out. It's usually questions 1 through 4. The next set is the dictation of sight words. You get about two of those, and that's questions 5 and 6. And then the last part is sentence dictation, and that's where they're combining both sight words and decodable words into a sentence and having students practice with that. Let's get into it. So initially, when you're using, and I'll need to use this, when you're using the guided spelling sections, there are visuals that you're supposed to use. That's what we saw over in the card deck app. There's these 2 dashes or lines, however you want to do it. So we very well could do it from here. Actually, you know what? That's what we'll do. We'll do it from here. I think it might be a little easier. So let's start our guided spelling. First, we'll start off with number 1. The way I start this off with the kids is I let them know right off the bat, this is a task that we're working on together. It's not a test. You can look at each other's paper. I also provide the sight word dictionary here. I also provide that sound card just in case there's a correction that needs to be made, or just in case we're providing the support that we need to point out. So make sure you have those during guided spelling, that sight word card, which is, or excuse me, the sight word dictionary, and then the sound word card. Make sure you always have these available during the lesson. Okay. So you guys are my students now. One of you can come off of mute and respond for me. That would be great. All right. We're going to do guided spelling. Remember to stay with me. Do not write ahead. So we can all learn together. All right. Everybody has their paper. Everybody has their name on their paper. All right, let's start. Number 1. There is a herd of sheep in my yard. Say herd.
Herd.
Now, do you have a question?
No.
You're not sure what your question is. Your question is which er. Do you have a question?
Which
Good. Oh, there it is. It's going to be the first spelling on the bird card. Go ahead and write herd for number 1. For that sound, we're going to use the first spelling in the bird card. All right. What word do we write?
Herd.
Spell it as I write it.
H-E-R-D.
Check your work.
Hey, perfect.
All right, great. Let's go ahead into our next one for number 2. The word is purr. I heard a cat purr outside my window. Say purr.
Purr.
Do you have a question?
Which
Which er? So for that one, we're going to use the third spelling on the bird card. And you can use those words, or you can just hold up the 3 fingers so they know. Once they get used to that routine, finger movements and prompts will help. Third spelling. Go ahead and write purr. But also, when you add that third spelling, go ahead and add an extra R at the end. This one has an irregular spelling. So you're going to use the third spelling for and then add an extra R. All right, what word do we spell?
Purr.
All right, spell it as I write it.
P-U-R-R.
Check your work. If you made a mistake, cross out your mistake. So like say you wrote P-E-R-R. Cross out your mistake. Rewrite it on the top. This is another reason why we keep the copy, just in case they make consistent mistakes, because then you'll have record of it when you're tracking. Or if they're writing backwards, that could be a sign of dyslexia, stuff like that. All right. Number 3, stir the cookie batter. Stir. Say stir.
Stir.
All right. Do you have a question?
Which R?
Which er?
Which er?
Under the bird card, we're going to use the second spelling for stir. Go ahead and write stir for number 3. For that sound, we're using the second spelling. All right. Spell it as I write it.
S T V-I-R.
Check your work. Okay, good. Number 4, don't forget to feed the dog before you leave. Say feed.
Feed.
Do you have a question?
Which E?
Which E? Great. All right, so for E, we're going to use the second spelling under the tree card. Second spelling. Go ahead and write feed. All right, which word do we spell?
Feed.
Let me spell it as I write it.
F-E-E-D.
Check your work.
Hey, perfect.
All right, next section is going to be our sight words. We'll need our sight word dictionary. This will be on the table. If you're unsure how to spell a sight word during this portion, make sure you go back in there and check. So you'll have time to check it. So don't worry about memorizing it if you don't know it. All right. For number 5, look for the keys. Look. For number 5, go ahead and write look. If you're unsure how to spell it, check your sight word dictionary. All right, what was our word? Look. Spell it while I write it.
L-O-O-K.
Check your work. All right, we got one more sight word for number 6. I want a large Slurpee. Say large.
Large.
If you're unsure how to spell large, check your sight word dictionary. Go ahead and write large for number 6. All right, spell it as I write it.
L-A-R-G-E.
Check your work. All right, last one, number 7. This one is a sentence. First things first, what do we do to the first letter in a sentence?
Capitalize it.
Capitalize it. And what goes at the end of a sentence?
A period.
A period or punctuation, because it could be a question or an exciting statement. So it could be some type of punctuation. But yes, punctuation or a period, depending on what it is.
Okay.
All right. Listen to my sentence. She is first. Say, she is first.
She is first.
What's our first word?
She.
She is also the first word in the sentence. So what are we doing to that first letter?
Capitalizing.
And it's also a sight word. So if you're unsure how to spell it, check your sight word dictionary. Go ahead and write she for number 7. Make sure you capitalize that first letter. What was our sentence?
She is first.
First. Good. Yep. First word.
She
Second word.
is.
Go ahead and write is. Leave finger space. The sound z in is an S, just in case you forgot. All right. What was our sentence?
She is first.
First word.
She
Second word.
is
Last word.
first.
Do you have a question?
Which
For first, you're going to use the second spelling for Go ahead and write first. All right. And what goes at the end of our sentence?
Punctuation or period.
Punctuation. So it'll be a period for this one because this one's just a statement. Go ahead and write a period. Okay, so now let's go through and check our work. What was our first word?
She.
And what did we do to the first letter?
Capitalize it.
Spell it as I write it.
Capital S H E
Nice. Second word.
is
Spell.
I S.
Last word.
First.
Spell.
FIRST.
What goes at the end?
A period.
Check your work. If you had any mistakes, make sure to cross it out and do the correction at the top. All right, great. You're going to hand in your papers, pass up your pencils. We're going to go to the next part. All right, we're going to hand out our purple books. We are on page 66 in our purple books. In chapter 5 of the story of Cat, the family decides to take the kittens home. So chapter 6 begins when the family arrives home and Cat sees the kittens. So we're on chapter 6 today. We read chapter 5 yesterday. Before we get into this, let's check out a couple words. First off, this word chapter. Let's see, it's a different color. Chapter. Your turn.
Chap.
Second syllable.
Er.
Real word.
Chapter.
Good. And then another one. I think this is one right here. Gonna split this one in between. First syllable.
Kit.
Second.
Tens.
Read.
Kittens.
Nice. Here's another one.
Everyone.
First syllable.
Every.
Second.
One.
Read.
Everyone.
Now we're gonna learn another one. This one is a schwa, which means this sound here is unstressed. And it's gonna make the sound. First syllable.
Ask.
Second syllable.
Kit.
Cut.
Cut.
So I'm going to explain it. A schwa changes that unstressed syllable from the vowel that you see to the sound. So the word is basket.
Okay.
I know it sounds weird to us because in our brains we don't say it like that. But it's a schwa. So like that word, salad is one of them, even though it's salad. That's how it's spelled. It's salad. That's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
That's because that's a schwa as well. That's another one you'll learn about in Challenge a lot. They show it a little bit in Extension 2, but you'll learn more about it in Challenge. There's a breakdown for it on how to do that, which you can find in both your manual and in the learning portal. What else is it? Read the word to the student. So when we come to the word story, I'll read that out for you guys. Another word, we see words that have an apostrophe in them, like didn't. This apostrophe is replacing the O. This word is a contraction, which means you're taking two words and smushing them together to make a smaller one. So this word without the apostrophe would be did not. With the apostrophe, it's didn't. Same thing for its. This is replacing is, an I for is. So without the apostrophe, it would be it is. So it's is short for it is. And then when we come to it in the story, I'll point it out again, but the phrase that says lapped up all of the milk, that just means that they were drinking the milk fast. They drank it all. Cats, dogs, they lap up liquid. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our story. We won't go through the whole thing because it'll take a minute. Before you start the story, always check to see if there's additional information, because depending on their level, they might need to sound out each word or spell and read each sight word. For this level, I don't think they need to do that at all. It's not listed. So at this point, what you're having the students do is read it in their head and then read the sentence together. If there's a correction you need to do, then you'll have them go back and sound and read, and then start that sentence all over again. Keep in mind that in the student's copy, they will not have the sight words underlined, but in your manual, it's underlined for you. And that's so if you need to do that correction, you know whether to correct it as a sight word or as a decodable word. All sight words, when you do correction, you just tell them the word and have them read. For things they need to sound out, have them sound out each letter, read it, and then for both of those, you go back to the beginning of the sentence and start again. All right, my student, you're gonna read for me. We're just gonna do these first two paragraphs and then we'll move on. Just so we can show how this is supposed to go. Let me get my pointer and I'll zoom into this a little bit more so you can see. All right. First off, we always start at the title. Ready?
The story.
Oh, sorry. Wait for me. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Use your fingers so you can follow along. Read.
The story of Cat. Chapter 6. What will Cat do?
Perfect. We're going to pause, read it in our head. And you can go ahead and read just to this first sentence. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Read.
Would Cat like the kittens?
Pause. Read.
Would she want to hurt them?
Pause. Read.
Some cats will hurt the kittens of other cats.
Good. This one we're going to try to read straight through. Go ahead and read it in your head first. Sound out any words that look strange, or if you see a sight word you're unsure about, go ahead and ask the question now. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Read.
Dad walked to the gate. The kittens were sitting up. Everyone watched Cat.
Good. And so you would go like that throughout the story. Make sure they're staying together. Don't do popcorn reading. Don't do individual read and then individual read. Like, don't do that. Make sure they're reading together. It'll help them with pacing. All right, once you're done with the story, there's usually a couple of questions that you can ask them. I won't ask you guys because we didn't go through the whole story, but make sure you ask them those questions. It's just a couple, and they should know it based on them going through the story. All right, the last portion is fluency and independent practice. Now for that, you're literally just giving them the purple book and having them read the story a couple times. They say at least 20 minutes, but depending on how much time we have for the day, having them read it once or twice, maybe even 3 times will be helpful just to get them to practice. This is a good time for you to take down notes from the lesson, whether someone struggled, whether something was easy, whether behavior was crazy, but also it's a good time for you to listen to the students read individually. So have them whisper read sections of the story to you just so you'll be able to check their fluency to see if there's something that they need extra practice on. But do that for each of your students. This is why it's a good idea to not have more than 4 students in a group when you're doing SIPs, because you want to be able to focus on those students and be able to track that information for each student. There is a reading log and a fluency log you can use that are both in the binder and on the learning portal for tracking that stuff. You can also have a printed copy of the story and mark it, write the kid's name on that paper and mark where they got things wrong. That might actually be a little bit easier, but that's an option as well when you're doing fluency checks. Once they hit lesson 24, they start to use the trade books. Most of these curriculums for extension come with a set of trade books. If for some reason you don't have those level trade books, in your school library, in your Y-Reads library, you can use those books, or you can use books from RAS Plus. So once they hit trade level books, you can have them do their level up library in RAS Plus, or you can have them read the assigned stories that you have. You're also able to print out books from RAS Plus. You can use those as well if you don't have physical books on site. But those are the options that you can use for fluency practice and independent reading. But that's it. That's all for the extension lesson. Like I said, I'm going to go back through some of these parts just for instruction's sake, just to make sure everybody has what they need as far as that. If there's anything you see or you need or have questions about or need me to go over again, please let me know. But I'm just going to start back at the top and hit some of the techniques just to give you guys some extra information. First, let's start at the initial routine for manipulation. All these routines can be found individually with with examples, someone showing you how to do it in the learning portal. Also, depending on what lesson you're starting in, usually the entry point lessons, there's QR codes that pop up at the side of the paper in your manual. You can scan those and get videos as well. So you're able to get like a quick review of what that looks like. If you're unsure, your volunteers can do the same thing. If they're unsure of what the routine looks like, I would also show them. But if they need additional practice or can't quite remember what that's supposed to look like, usually there's a QR code in the beginning lessons or in the entry point lessons. I think it might be, is it 17 or 18 for this? I mean, 16 or 17. I think it's 17 is one. And then I think 16 might have it too, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 16 has them too. So if you go through the lessons, usually the ones that are starting lessons or entry points, those will have those QR codes for you. But let's go back to 21. If there's a faster way to do this. Oh, FYI, these review lessons, these are usually your second and third graders that need additional phonics support. They end up getting placed in these areas based on the mastery test. If you come from beginning into extension, you do not need to do those lessons. But if you test in using your placement test, you do those lessons. If you place in review. If for some reason your older kids are still struggling with the review lessons, you are able to move them to beginning. It says it right there in the placement test, just in case you're interested in that. But I can explain more of what to do when those switches need to happen in one of those 20-minute trainings on assessments. All right, back to 21. This over. Or excuse me, not 21, 18. Sorry. I was on 21 for challenge. 18, there we go. So for the manipulation, we're always using these cues. Anytime there's a cue, a visual cue that you need to use, SIPS always provides it to you in the corner of the manual. Again, do not go without your manual. Even if you're doing like pre-printed versions, outlines, class the card deck app, any of that stuff, writing it out, you still need your manual. You can make copies of your manual because of the is it good faith rule for printing educational text. You can make copies of these. I do suggest it. I know Marlene has done it at her site. You can take the binder and make copies of the sections based on the mastery level. So like for beginning, it would be lessons 1 through 10 would be one mastery level. You can make a copy of that one binder and give that to a mentor to use. So make sure you're keeping up with that. But the visual cues would be there. For this section, a correction would be just to model the mistake. So I think someone said batter instead of better at some point. You would just say this word is better. Drop the bet, and then just have them redo it again. For introductions, like I said, most of this stuff is pretty simple. They're going to provide you with the sounds that you're going to work with. Always use that mnemonic, which is the picture in the saying. If you don't have the cards, the mnemonic is here, but you should be using that printed version of that sound word card, regardless if you have the cards or not. I would suggest, because most of them don't have it, maybe writing those short mnemonics on here. We used to have one scanned from back in the day somewhere in the drive. I haven't seen it in a while, but you can physically write on those mnemonics, so it'll be easier for you to remember. So you could put bird or her bird under this one, car, fork, whatever the mnemonic is that they're using, you can write right there on the paper. That way you'll have it and make copies of it. But make sure when you're going through these lessons to check the information in here. Sometimes they provide extra support. Sometimes they just give you a rundown of what you're supposed to be doing. But for example, for this one, they're already telling you right off the bat which ones you should be reviewing. Those short vowel sounds, those inflections, final E, those E sounds, and the sounds, the 3 sounds. It also tells you the exact routine, how we differ the mixed list. I pointed, paused, let them read it in their head, and then I swiped across for them to read it. Decoding support. Anytime you see that, always read it just to check to see if there's something that the students will need. For this one, it says if your student is making an error repeatedly, use a pre-cue strategy. That's underlining the problem sound and have them say the sound, then have them read the word. So if they keep making the mistakes of the ers, or they keep making the mistake of the double E's or the EAs, underline those out and have them sound it and then read the word. And you can do that a couple times just to make sure that they're successful in that. It says that for corrections on errors for this, you're going to use the corrections that are on page 397 and through 401. And we can go there from here. Mixed list, those are just decodable words for the most part. And so that is the wall card correction. And that's where you're literally just finding that sound. So pointing to the picture, you'll pull up that sound card. And the example, they're using chipmunk. So if they say chipmunk instead of chipmunk, you would just go to that sound card, find the ch, which is here. Ch. This sound is ch, like chipmunk. Ch. And then you would go back to the word sound. Ch. Read chipmunk. You just go back through it again. All that's in here. You just make sure you're repeating that sound with them and modeling it and having them practice it. That's the best way to do the wall card sound. That mnemonic, give them the sound, model it, have them practice the sound, and then go back into the word. Okay, and for additional practice. So if you find that they need to practice more of the words, you don't have to do that inside the lesson. You can use those words for later practice or for extra activity after SIPs. But there's some lists that they already provide here. There's one for consonant blends and there's one for inflections. They also have a list, I think, in the appendix somewhere as well. That's like just a list of words that they can practice with. So that's also an option. Excuse me. Sorry. In the polysyllabic word section, this one was pretty explanatory. You're pretty much explaining them how to break down a word prior to reading it by acknowledging the fact that the two syllable sounds or the syllable sounds in the word, or excuse me, vowel sounds in the words also create the syllables. So wherever those vowels are in the word, or at least the sounds of them, not the actual placement of the vowel, because sometimes you'll have a vowel that doesn't make a sound at all. You're looking for the sound itself. So how many vowel sounds are being created? That's how many syllables you usually have. And the easiest way, something that they did for the younger kids was they clapped out the word. And that's how you'll find the syllable too. So sometimes when I'm doing these lessons and breaking them down in syllables, I'll also clap them out so they'll get used to hearing the separation. Sight words are pretty easy. Same process for teaching, except that you have to read, spell, read instead of sound. You never sound out a sight word. I couldn't say that until my face turns blue. Never sound it out. And if they get it wrong, and it's in here, there's usually some type of correction in here for a sight word, but you just tell them what the sight word is. Don't have them guess. Don't have them sound it out. Don't give them time to do that. The moment they do it wrong, immediately give them the right word. They say nodding instead of nothing. This word is nothing. Have them read, spell, read as if you're introducing it. Do the 5 things. For review, it's only 3. So if you're just reviewing them, you can blow fast through it with the 3, read, spell, read. But once they miss it, you add that same word back into the thing, but you also have them read, spell, read 5, do the 5 the test for introducing all over again. Give it to them in a sentence. So act as if they're learning it all over again. Give it to them in a sentence and then have them practice it again as if they're just learning it. Again, you're gonna do about 15 to 20. Sometimes it gets a little lower than that, depending on how much time you have, but try to get as many in as possible. As they get used to the routine, as they get used to you, it'll go by a little bit faster, especially once they start to learn those sight words. Guided spelling, we went through that. Just to remind you, do not skip the support. They need it. You need it. Make sure you give it to them. In extension, I don't think they have too many optional sections, so make sure you go through the whole thing. We already talked about the need for having them write it. That's how they're going to get it also in their brain, is by writing it and practicing it themselves. So make sure they're doing this part. Do not skip guided spelling. If for some reason you run out of time, do the guided spelling first before you start the next lesson. And then do the new guided spelling for that lesson. So the one you missed or skipped, finish that the next day and then go into the next part. But make sure you're going in and doing this. Reading a story, we went over the decoding support. A lot of them have this, some of them don't, but for the most part, there's going to be some type of support that tells you what the students need in that section, whether it's new word guidance or challenging word guidance or anything like that. But always make sure you're following that as well. They're going to tell you what story you're on. They're also going to give you a description. Always intro the story. They're going to give you one. But if you're familiar with the stories, you can also give your own. And then don't forget those questions. Fluency, again, you're going to make sure you're sitting in front of your students. Have one read to you. Take down notes. Have one read to you. And it doesn't have to be the whole story. They don't have to read the whole story to you. They can read a couple of the paragraphs and to you, and you can jot down information for those. But that's the gist of those different routines. I will go back to that appendix and point out not only are the routines in there, but there's fluency practice and reading documentation in here, and not terminology, and the methodology on how they do these different tasks and routines are in there. The SIPS assessments are in there. This is being weird. Hold on, let me refresh this real quick. You'll find your SIPS assessments and everything in here, and instructions on how to use it, when to take your masteries. I will tell you this right now, pay attention to your masteries and when you're supposed to take them and which ones you're supposed to take. Extension is the main one that gets mixed up often because of those review lessons. So make sure you're going in and you're using the correct ones. Let me zoom in here a bit so I can show you what I mean. When you go to take, this is the placement test. When you actually, before we get out of the placement test, let me show you what I was talking about earlier. So before I was telling you that they will have you, for second and third grade, you'll be in extension review for those early phonics skills. But if for some reason they're really struggling, you can drop them back to beginning, because K through first usually handles beginning. But because our kids sometimes are super low, moving them into that lower level might be helpful. But when you do that, you'll have to document that not only on their test, but in ounce, and that can be explained a little bit later. But what I was saying about the mastery test, one, there's information in here on how to prep for it, how to take notes, how to conduct group assessments, all of that. And how to provide intervention for different areas, especially those sight word interventions. How to administer the test, the criteria, that 80% criteria. Also, this is what I was mentioning before, pay attention to this part. Pay attention to this part. This tells you exactly which lessons will follow before you get that test. If you don't, then you'll end up accidentally giving the kid the wrong test and they'll have to retest. Also, when you're putting these things into ounce, make sure every test you give goes into ounce. Unless it's one of those tests that you shouldn't have given them in the first place. Don't put that one in, because then we'll have to have it removed. But following the schedule, make sure you're putting those tests in. But definitely pay attention to that. If you're coming into extension level 1, the first test you're going to take for mastery is mastery test 4, not 1. So pay very close attention to those. That's the one that gets mixed up often. People skip number 4 when they should go to number 4. So keep that in mind. And then also there's a student copy. This is the teacher copy. And then there's a student copy. The student copy for all that stuff is also in the appendix. You can also find theories and research in here on extension, why they do the things, how they came up with everything, and what the concepts and developmental phrases are inside of extension. You can find the list that I was telling you that they could practice. Those are in here, as well as your sight word index. It'll tell you exactly what lesson for each word. I like to send these home, or the sight word dictionary version. I like to send those home so they can practice those at home. All of your irregular sight words will be in here for extension. You get a lot more of those when you hit challenge, but they do have them also in here, and they'll break those down. So that's a good one to send home too. This is also a really good one to give to your volunteers so they can learn those sounds, especially those ones that are not really education savvy. Reproducible materials. That's all that stuff I said you can print. That's your guided spelling, your fluency record, all of those different pages. You can find that in your binder. Should be at the back. If for some reason you don't have it, you can print these from the learning portal. But I think that is all of the content. I will tell you that if you're new to SIPs, these areas in the instruction section are really good to read. The distinct features, the daily lesson components, which we viewed a little bit in the slides I showed earlier. Again, how to do those assessments and how to set up your classroom and how to get ready for SIPs. Now, I remember someone asked me at one time before for those like classroom posters. I don't think we have extras of those, but what you could do is get like a word wall started, and basically all you're doing is printing out those flashcard versions of those sound cards and making your own word wall. You can take them on the wall, put them in those like pocket chart things, however you want to do it, and you can display those. It's great to have during teaching because then you can huddle up in that corner and then point to the things on the wall. The only thing I would do is when you're giving those mastery tests to make sure you're not in front of the kiddos with the wall chart. Any questions about extension? I would say this is probably the longest SIPS lessons. They take about 30 minutes, but this one can be the longest with all the extra different items in it. No questions? All right, well, let me go back to the portal to show you one last thing, and then we can be done. We have our 4th and 3rd edition. I mentioned that earlier. This is where you're going to find all of those materials that you can print. There's also a trace and write section. This is for multisensory instruction. This is for them to practice writing those words and sounds. So you can find those sound lines. You can find those trace and write sheets where they're practicing those words and their sounds. So if you're looking for like extra practice for them to do after SIPs, you can print these out. Most of the sets come with a book where you can just make copies of it, but you can also just print a PDF version from here. Remote learning, that's where you're going to find those cards that I said you can print, those flashcards, and you can post them right on the wall. All your sight word cards are in here too. So if you want a sight word wall, you can do that same thing. That wall card presentation tool. So if you just want to go through the wall cards, the sounds are in here and the sight words are in here. Student cards and for the mastery tests are in here and the placement tests.
Right. Where is that at?
This is in the learning portal. So if you go to whatever section you're going to choose, we're in extension, so
Okay.
that's where we are. If you go to remote learning, a lot of
Okay.
that stuff is in here.
Okay, gotcha.
The trace and writes are under IMIS, sorry. And then the reproducible materials like the stories and stuff are all in here. Classroom materials, stuff that goes on the wall, stuff like that. Assessments, and then other resources. Again, you can find those cards here. 3rd edition cards. There's also a pronunciation guide in here, which is pretty dope. This helps with, again, those peeps who need a little bit more help with the education of some of these words and how to pronounce them. That's in here. You can send this home with kids, especially for like those ESOL students. You can get those there and send those out, as well as that one page that I showed you with the irregular sounds. Another good thing in here is the reflection tool. This is good for you to check yourself on how well you're giving instruction. Stuff like this is what we use when we go to do your audits in person, when we check to see how you're doing SIPS instruction. We use stuff like this. Another good one to use for the leaders is this is the evaluation for a leader. So if you're a coordinator and you're checking how your mentors are doing in SIPs, you can use this and give them tips and take notes on it and give them help with their instruction. I get that sometimes you just don't have enough bodies. So you're in a group, your mentor's in a group, your staff's in a group. But pick a day out of the month, if possible, or every other month to do a check. You don't take a group that day and you just go and monitor to see how well everybody's doing. The best way to do that is to set a rotations day. Have one group on SIPs, have the other two groups doing something else, and you monitor that SIPs group to see how well that mentor is doing with them as far as SIPs. That's the best way to check because you're not always sitting with all the groups. And in order for you to know, the only way for you to know that they're not doing it right is to watch them. So make sure you have that opportunity to view your staff and your volunteers when they're doing SIPs. Make that part of their training to observe them. Sound out support for introducing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Routine videos are here too. There's also videos on full lessons in here. Also a video on how to do a placement test. You have all of the resources at your feet. You can view all of this stuff, all of the printable resources for each lesson. You get the routines and the lesson printables. So if you don't want to write all this stuff up, you can print them out. And we used to print them all out and keep them in a binder, and we would hand them that sheet every time they had the lesson along with their manual. So if you're not using digital resources or the whiteboard is taking too long, this is a good opportunity to save some time by printing that stuff out like in advance. Manuals for both trace and write and multi-sensory instruction, those are in there too. I think that's it. I think that's it, guys. Any questions? No? All right. Well, our next session is an open session. So if there's anything that you guys need training on across the board, anything Y reads, that's today in about 30 minutes. So I'll let you guys go just in case you need to go to the restroom or whatnot. But hop in. You got a question about anything under the sun, even if it's about something that's going on in the classroom, how to get volunteers, how to do a deliverable item, how to do RAS Plus, any questions. I'll be on there for an hour. You can ask me whatever you need to ask me. But I will see you then. If you need the link, let me know. I think Tanaya might have asked me for access to the learning portal.
Yes, I did yesterday.
I'm going to do that for you right now. Keep an eye out in your email for the link because it's one of those timed ones and you got to do it pretty quickly. So I'll get on and do that right now in that in-between time. And I will see you guys in 30 if you're coming to that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Otherwise, I'll see you.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.